Hey everybody, Dave Whitmar, CEO of Whitmar's Consulting Group. Have a good webcast today and a special host. And what we're going to do today is show you a bit about retention and how to find out what those issues are. So unfortunately, I'm not sticking around for this webcast, but I wanted to introduce Robert Brown, CEO of Olumo, and let him run with it. So welcome aboard, Robert.
Thank you, David. I'm thrilled and excited to be having this conversation with you guys today, because it's probably the number one thing that I hear out in the market today is, with the great redistribution and everything going on, like literally almost every organization I talk to is struggling with how to attract and retain talent. And so I wanted to share with you, we had sent out as part of the webinar, as part of the registration, I'm going to hop over and let's just talk a little bit. Let's start with, in the beginning, what are the costs, right? What is this really costing us? And let's talk through some of those and see if we can't share that. So I wanted to share with you, I'm going to hop out of here real quick and just share with you.
So share with you this calculator. So I wanted to just highlight it, and you should have received this in an email. If not, please reach out to me and we can send it to you. But one of the most important things is really just understanding what this is really costing you. And so we put together a very simple little calculator to help you understand, where you can just literally come in here and pop in and share, put in the number of employees, put in your average, number of employees that you lost, it will then help identify and figure out your churn rate for you. And then it will show you, put in your average salary, your total revenues. And it's really going to help you identify the true costs of both productivity and retention, and how driving that up is going to be able to really drive and impact your organization. And we'll come back and talk more about this, but if you didn't see it, please let us know. We'll get this out to you. I think it's a very helpful calculator and what really sets the stage, because there's probably few things that are more important to organizations to solve than identifying why they're losing employees and what their struggles are in attracting new employees to be able to join the organization. And so that's what we're really going to focus on today. And frankly, the number one reason that people leave an organization has been published for a lot of years, right? We know what that is. And this is not going to be any big surprise to you when I share with you, of course, that the number one reason that people leave an organization is because of a bad boss, right? Gallup identified that. Numerous studies have indicated that. There's other reasons that continue down the list, but the number one reason, 75% of people leave an organization, is because of a bad boss. And you've got to, it's funny. I also hear almost every day different stories when we talk about this. People are always saying, "Oh yeah, I had one of those. Oh, I had one of those. What did you do? Oh, I left that company, of course." So that's what happens when you have bad bosses or bad leadership within an organization, a bad boss or a bad manager. That's the number one cause. And again, there's others, could be pay scale, could be a lot of different things, job fit, whatever. There's a lot of things that continue down the list. But if this is the number one and it's literally 75%, then 3/4, simple math, but 3/4 of your retention problem is all surrounding leadership and a toxic environment that's been created. So my big questions then for you are, so if 3/4 of your issue is that, then 3/4 of our focus should be on identifying where they are and what we need to do to help them. That's what we really need to figure out. And when I say what we need to do to help them is, look, I'll just be brutally honest here, is that, yeah, there are some bad managers and bad bosses that we literally need to identify and then help them move on to a different organization or out of our organization because they are toxic, right? And no amount of help is really, frankly, going to change that. But I personally believe that that's extremely minimal. The majority simply what I see all the time is people, especially in high growth or different areas. Look, if you were the last person, you're the longest one there, boom, you got promoted to being the manager, and now you're trying to manage people, and you've never been given the skill set or the capabilities or the training or education you need. So in many cases, this is, please don't take this as, hey, we're going to go try to identify and fire all of your bad bosses. This is so that we can help you to identify where they are so that you know what you can do to help them. And most importantly is what do they need help with? And how are we going to figure that out? And so that's what I'm going to share with you today. Because bottom line, how are you going to get the data and the insights you need? And what I hear from people all the time is, oh, well, I guess we'll do a survey. That's how we gather feedback and employee insights, is we ask questions through surveys. But I would propose to you that that's probably not, not only old school, but extremely ineffective. I'll try to be super nice. And that is because organizations, typically that's the process, right? But the struggle with those, of course, is timing. Surveys represent a single moment in time. It's one little teeny slice or sliver of what's happening throughout your organization. And because of that, if you try to drive your organization based on that, well, man, how are we going to drive our organization based on one little set of questions that we ask on one day? And you've done these before, right? You've seen it, and you get very limited high level insight. So then you probably have to try to do focus groups or other things, because you actually have to talk to somebody to understand how they think and feel. And so they're just so ineffective. They're rearward thinking. We're always looking at insights from 3 months, 6 months ago. The methodology, of course, is wrong, because bottom line, most are still sent out via email, and who responds to that anymore? You know, um, people tell me all the time, oh yeah, we got like a 3 or 4% response rate on the last survey we sent. And I'm like, okay, so let's count the reasons why. 1, because you sent an email. 2, because you haven't taken action on things that you've done in the past. And so people literally just feel like, man, I'm taking another survey. They keep asking, but they don't do anything about it. Boom, 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 right? It just continues to roll. So anyways, oftentimes you end up causing disengagement with surveys because of that exact factor, where you're asking questions, but they don't attach the feedback the feedback to action. And if you don't make that visible and connect those two, then of course people are like, whoa, well, why would I even spend or waste my time, because I don't see anything change. So that's why we created Olumo. We created Olumo to help organizations, because you can't fix what you don't understand. But I've always believed that solving problems is really easy once you understand them. And if we can help you to get the insight and the understanding that you need, the data and the insights. I say the data because the data helps us know where to look. But again, if we know we have a bad manager, that's only part of the problem. The other part is the insight to understand why. Because then we're in the right position to provide the training or the help or the assistance or the things we need to do to help them grow and improve. So we need not only the data, but most importantly, we need the insights. And that's why we help organizations to gather the insight and the understanding through data, to then take the appropriate actions to drive their actions and decision making. And then equally important is, once we take action, we need to see if it works. We need to be able to identify and understand, hey, we did these things, but we need a way to measure the impact. Because my favorite statement of all time is that you can't move the needle if you don't have a needle, right? It just makes sense. And yet in people, when it comes to people, humans in our organizations, most organizations have the least amount of data and insight and the ability to track, because we've always been told, oh, well, you can't track how people think and feel. Of course you can. And that's what Olumo does. We are a human sentiment analytics platform that helps organizations listen to their people engage in actual conversations, because that's how you actually really listen, is having a two-way conversation, to take action based on what your people say, and then to be able to measure your progress. So we help organizations to listen, frankly, in the most effective way, which is literally a simple text. Even though we're software developers and we developed a platform and our teams wanted to develop an app, what we recognized is that, well, if you develop an app, that's one more app I have to log into, I have to manage, I have to maintain, I have to do all these different things. I don't need that. What I want is something that's just frictionless, simple, easy. So what we decided is that the easiest thing that we can do is literally send them a simple text, asking them questions surrounding their experience that they're having at work. Those questions were designed by organizational psychologists to help us listen and understand about their entire experience at work. But of course, today we're going to focus on a couple of our key human experience campaigns. And those are going to be leadership, identifying good and bad leaders, right? And number two, team. Because the second thing on the list of the most impact and importance to me is, one, my direct boss. But the second thing that I interact the most with is my team. So those two things are the two primary contributors to retention. So what I need to do is provide you with data and insight surrounding where you have good and bad leaders and good and bad teams, because those are the number one and two drivers of the experience and what's happening with your people. So we ask and engage through a simple text, asking and creating questions to listen and learn about their experience. We then translate what they say, that human sentiment, into live, real-time metrics, because the way that we do it is we ask about one question a week, and you can adjust this, but our normal or recommendation is once a week. We ask each individual in your organization about their experience. Those questions then come randomized based on the experience campaigns that you've turned on and what you're learning, looking to learn and track. And then we now deliver to you in real-time live human metrics that help you understand in real time exactly what your people are thinking and feeling. When we quantify those into live real-time dashboards like these, then that allows us to immediately identify, based on our teams and based on leadership and based on other things as well, exactly where we're performing well and which teams are doing great and which teams are struggling. And if we don't take immediate action surrounding these teams and these leaders in these places, well, these are predictive indicators of your churn. We can literally predict for you which locations or which teams and which areas or which demographics even are most likely to churn. We can help you to identify. That is the key data. What you need to know is, again, you can't fix what you don't understand. So how are you going to go fix a problem or know which teams if you don't know which teams and which leaders and which areas? So that's number one. You need to know where that exists. And what I love about this also, just a sidebar, is that the language of business is numbers. And when you, as a people leader, come in and have this conversation and bring this type of data to your executive team, this is what they understand. You struggle oftentimes to get budgets and all kinds of things to drive your people and engagement and all these different things that you're trying to drive with people. Well, one of the biggest reasons why you struggle in those areas is because it's difficult to create the business case, because you don't have the data that supports it and the data that validates it and the data that's going to prove to your executive leaders that the things that you're doing are making an impact. That's what this gives you. This is amazing. And I want to keep this short today, so I'm going to keep on rolling, but I have all kinds of stories that I would love to share with you about the impact of this in those executive meetings, because there's some pretty powerful things there. But bottom line, the numbers tell us where to go. But the most important thing that I can help you with is to give you the insights and the understanding that you need to take that action. Well, that comes through an actual conversation. And what we've created is human to human, anonymous conversations at scale, where we literally, when we send out those questions, like for example, here's one right here on the screen, and I'll just read through it in case you can't see it, but it says, hey, what's the one thing that you would recommend to most improve your job? And this comes back and says, hey, communication. Well, that's kind of a typical short response, like what you would get in a regular survey, right? But what are you now going to do with that? Well, who knows? Because you don't know what type, or what is it more? Is it less? Is it type of, what does that mean? Well, that's why we then engage. And we literally have someone on the Olumo team that responds and says, hey, thanks for providing that feedback. What aspects of communication would you like to see improvement? Is it frequency, tone, method? Help us understand. Let's have a conversation and learn more. And then now they start in, oh, it's frequency and follow through. For example, let me tell you exactly what I mean and help you understand exactly what you can do to help me to solve this. It's amazing. What I hear from our people all the time is, man, this platform, it is literally like cheating or getting the answers to the tests, because now I feel like I know exactly what's happening, and it's so easy for me to identify the actions that I then need to take. That's the beauty and the power of this platform, is that we help you to do that. And then of course, now you've got to, once you understand it, the best way to create solutions is to co-create those solutions with your organization. And so we've developed a process and a simple way to help you and your teams to accomplish that through the platform. But bottom line, what I mentioned is, this is where I see one of the biggest gaps, is that most organizations, when it comes to people initiatives, they literally don't have a way to measure that sentiment. They don't have a way to track and measure that over time and to quantify it and to see, hey, we took these actions, we deployed this, we did this. Well, did it actually make it different? Did it make an impact? And if you don't have a needle, you literally can't see whether that did. And so that's the struggle. That's why we're bringing the visibility and the power. This is the most impactful and powerful tool to drive your business results. So specifically, I wanted to just come back for a moment and focus on those two components that we are talking and really focused on today. And that is the leadership within the organization, and identifying where we have good and bad leaders, and then the why behind that. Why? And that comes through the conversations. We get the context through the conversations. As we now listen and learn and understand from their experience, we're able to have that conversation with them to identify, oh, well, what actions or behaviors is your leader taking that cause you to feel that way? And we start learning, oh, well, they do this, or this is happening, or this is going on, or that's going on. And then we can know exactly, we can sit down with those leaders and have those conversations and help them grow and improve. It's so amazing to watch this process and to see how organizations are driving their organizations forward, because literally, once you fix those two issues, and if you can solve those places throughout your organization, well, that's driving the majority of your retention issues. Well, as you're losing people, that then of course goes into a snowball effect, and then they're telling their friends and family and social media and everything else, you're getting bad reviews. Well, nobody wants to come and attract. So attracting people is really about building a place where people want to be, in an environment, in an experience. The attraction comes naturally. I talk to organizations all the time that say, look, we were struggling. In fact, I talked to a construction company of all companies the other day, and they're like, wow, we were really struggling. We were like every other construction company, really super struggling to try to attract people because they're just dying. And they said, what we did was simple. We, of course, started using and using data, and we then took that and we focused on creating an experience that people love. We identified very quickly and easily the gaps or the issues or the friction points. We eliminated those. People started loving it. They got on social media. They told everybody. They don't They literally fired their recruiters. And if you're a recruiter, I'm sorry, but they literally fired their recruiters, not fired them because of lack of performance, but literally because they didn't need them anymore. That's what you can do. And that's the power of data and analytics, taking action. It's a whole process. Data is just the first step. But that's what we're here to help you to do and accomplish, because if you get it right, it is magic, baby. It is magic, because once you get people engaged, you're driving, significant, look at, reduction in turnover and profitability and productivity. And these are the reasons why we help you to go to your executive team and put the business case, because again, they're all about numbers. So we got to go to the executive with numbers and how we're going to drive these things, show them exactly how, and then start taking action to do it. Well, if you get it wrong, this is where it's so costly. Your cost of retention, replacing people, and going back to the calculator, a way to help you guys to calculate that. But, SHRM says, look, it's 56 to 60% of an individual's cost, and it can go up to 90 or even 200%, depending on some of industries where things are very technical, to lose people. The cost of that is phenomenal. But even if you don't lose them, even if you have people that are just frankly disengaged, they've got that bad boss, but for some reason they didn't leave and they're just taking it. Well, guess what? Those guys are costing you too. And then of course risks, because if it gets bad or employees are like, oh, well, I'm so upset at this organization, I'm actually going to try to do harm. Well, that even gets worse. So this is the number one thing that we can help you to solve, is to solve your attracting and retaining people through your organization. And we're going to do it on good old-fashioned data and insight. So my offer to you today is this. I'm going to give it to you free. I'm going to give you the entire Olumo platform for 30 days. Here's my exact reasons why. And I'll be brutally honest and just tell you, because I know that most of you have never used a platform like this. You're unsure about how the data is going to, and the insights that you're going to get and receive. So, and then you're also going to have to go try to get budgets based on those. And if we do all of that, we have to go try to get budgets and do all of that before we actually show the benefit and the value of the product, then that's going to be a lot harder for you to get this done. But if I can give you the tool, give you the data, give you the insights, share with you we can create the projections and all of the business case, and then put it in front of the executive team, we're going to help you get this done. So that's why I want to give you the data and all of the insight and show you the complete power of the platform, and why we're willing to give it to you completely free and complimentary. And if you need, instead of 30 days, you need 60 days or whatever, like, we will work with each one of you. My goal is just simply to help you. I'm here to help you solve this, but the way you're going to solve it is, frankly, I don't know exactly what those issues are in your organization. I could act like I did and, hey, I'm going to come in and fix everything. Well, we are going to do that, but I don't know exactly what those issues are. But I can promise you, here's my promise to you. I can promise you that after going through this and gathering the data and the insights, and as we start to have those conversations with your people, it will become very, very clear exactly what actions you need to take and how we're going to be able to put this together to drive attracting and retaining your people. It becomes extremely clear. I share with people all the time, there's no need to guess. All we need to do is ask. And if we can ask your people, that's what's going to drive it. So here's my email. Here's my direct phone number that you can reach me on. Here's my Calendly link. If you want to just go straight to my calendar and look at a time and select a time, this is how you can reach out to me and get in contact with me. Because I'd love to have a conversation with you surrounding how we can help you and your organization to succeed. So that being said, I'm going to finish up. If there aren't any additional questions, if you do have a few questions, I can hang around for a few minutes. If you've got questions or want to see different things, happy to share anything else with you. But at this point, that's really my focus, is I wanted to share how I can help you through data and insights, identify the issues and the struggles that you're having throughout the organization so that you know exactly what actions to take to drive your success. That's what we do. It's amazing, and we're super excited to share it with you. So, all right, well, let's see. I've got, let me see if I can exit this for a second on my share screen. Let's stop this for just a moment. All right, come back here. On the recording, yes, I had a question that came in on the chat that, hey, can you share the recording? Absolutely. I will send you the recording after this, and we'll kick that off to everyone. I've also got a little kind of explainer or teaser video that talks in very shortly in regards to this, and we can even get you out some additional content. So happy to do that. So thanks everybody for participating today. I really appreciate it. I know you guys are busy. I know there's lots going on. I know you're struggling in these areas. But bottom line, I'm just going to tell you, we don't need to struggle. If you're trying to figure things out, it is so amazing when you actually just ask and we engage your people, we listen and learn from their experience. And then frankly, that gives us the validation we need to go get done those things that you've been trying to get done. I know it's always a struggle trying to get the organization to take action on some of these things. Well, when we come in as a third-party partner and data, insight, backing it up, not just saying, hey, we think this. No, boom, here's the numbers, here's the data, here's the proof that you need to help get these things done throughout your organization. So, all right, well, thanks everybody. Have a great week, and we'll talk to you again soon.